What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And this I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's going on with the economic calendar moving forward, what's happening with other factors involved in the markets, what you should be watching for as time progresses. But before I begin the down this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a few things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner. Make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Weeble link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Weeble and deposit $500, you're guaranteed 20 free stocks and offer ends in just about one day. Anyways, for the market, I just want to break down NIO. We're on a bit of a downtrend right over here, as you guys can see. And NIO is continuing to fall as the market is in a new trend. But the question is, how will things progress from here? So I want to break down more details. So first, let's talk about some data before I break it down. As you guys know, tomorrow is going to be Monday, June 24th, 2024. At 3 o'clock in the morning, we actually have Waller from the Fed giving a speech. Then we have the 3-month and 6-month bill auctions coming out, not to mention Daly giving a speech. So most of the data is very, very minor, just a couple of Fed speakers, nothing too crazy. So the data shouldn't be that impactful for the markets. For earnings, we're getting closer to the end of June and the excuse me, and the end of the second quarter. This means that the Q2 earnings cycle is about to start. It's going to start possibly in about 1 to 2 weeks, and we're going to be listening to see what the banks start telling us. They're going to be the first ones to start announcing their earnings. And it's going to have a big effect on the markets. So I'll be watching to see what this causes. The fear and greed index is currently at fear right now. So just be a little bit careful. Momentum is still very, very more on the greedy side because we're still well above our 125 daily moving average, which shows the market is still at a very high valuation, right? These valuations are still very high, despite the fact that there's fear kind of driving the market up here, which is causing some bears to gain the edge. So just know the market's still at a very, very high value. It is still, if someone wants to go over that phrase, like overvalued, but simultaneously, don't forget that the Bears are now getting the edge because of that, and we are still seeing big shifts. With the Bears gaining the edge, the puts and call option positioning is now going up to greed. So this is kind of like telling us that we used to be extremely greedy, now we're just greedy because the market's becoming less greedy and more shorts are piling in. And then also the VIX is kind of in the middle, very close to its 50 daily moving average, not really doing a whole lot. So for NIO, NIO House is once again opening on June 20th in Hamburg, Germany. That's actually great news, and this is going to help them create a very exciting future. I can't wait to see what NIO ends up announcing. There's also news coming out that NIO has announced a new deal with an entertainment company known as Cinema, and this is actually some big news because it's going to be partnering with them to provide the best in-class and in-car entertainment. That's going to be very useful for a lot of their customers because we're going to be expecting a lot of upgrades coming very soon. So they haven't really disclosed the true intricacies of what this means, but they will actually talk about some new things. New owners will once again be able to access their favorite subscription-based streaming services, but there's a lot more to it. So there could be some more things being announced from Cinema. They could be doing all sorts of things within the cars, and I think it's going to be very, very useful. So I can't wait to see what else they announce from this. There's also news coming out that NIO spotted testing its Firefly, the first model in Germany. So it's very, very good stuff for them because in Europe they're getting more and more popularity. I can't wait to see what else comes out of this. So the first model is fully electric, was seen doing road tests in Berlin, and you could see this is actually very useful for them because they're making new moves, and then this is supposed to be the new sub brand that's going to be not only competitive but provide them a lot more advantages over the competition around there. So that's going to be very useful too. Volume is currently at 22 million. This is actually below average. And finally, when it comes to short volume and such, you guys can see there are other shifts. The overall ratings for NIO are basically neutral. We're also seeing a little shift right over here in terms of the price pairs ratio kind of dipping a little bit. And simultaneously, we're seeing seasonality just another interesting place because we tend to see more green on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Monday tends to be kind of neutral. So we'll see how things go. As far as NIO goes, I just want to note that we are in a bit of a downtrend right here. We have a bearish looking wedge that's forming, and there is more potential downside. But I presume we're going to most likely be within the bounds of this wedge. So tomorrow, look for a little pop up on open. NIO might hit 4.4, but because volume is slowing down, we're not going to be very volatile. So look for a little pop by about 10 cents. We come back down to 4.25. We just continue to trade sideways. That is the most likely possibility, at least for now. For other factors involving the markets for SPY, as of right now, SPY is kind of shuffling within this range. We have 545.5 and then as resistance, and then we have support currently at 544. You guys can see how we kind of shuffled on Friday. If we break past this high at 545.8, look for this gap fill up to about 547, then see if we establish a lower high and start to downtrend, right? Because the trend could be shifting here. We have this high here, we came down, we made a lower high, came down, lower high, came down. So we could pop a bit, try to fill the gap, and then start dipping lower. Or if we end up losing support currently at 544, we'll be looking at 543. That's where we have the support here. Then we could be dipping all the way down to lower levels into like the lower 540s. But overall, there is a bit of a downtrend that could be established on SPY, and we are looking a little bit weaker right over here. So I am seeing some downside potential, at least for SPY, a little bit of a rejection that could be forming. But watch and see which way we break. Do we kind of come up to fill this gap first and then end up dipping? If that's the case, watch 545.8. If we break that, look for a pop and then drop. Or do we drop all the way down to fill this gap down below? There's another gap all the way down around 537. So I presume we're going to come down to 537. I think that's the most likely possibility. But watch, do we come up to fill this gap above first and then we drop to 537, excuse me, or do we drop from here? I'll be watching that very carefully. For Nvidia is turning on the 1 hour time frame. We have resistance currently at 128.5 and also at 130. We have support currently at 125. We could pop a bit towards 128.5, maybe go a little higher before we try to reject a bit. But I am anticipating a little bounce on Nvidia. I think we're going to be retesting 128, and we'll see if we get a rejection or not. So look for that test going into tomorrow. For Bitcoin, we are still looking kind of weak. You guys can see how this is continuing to downtrend. And with this downtrend intact, I'll be looking for us to eventually come down to about the 62,500 area. You guys can see this downtrend is very, very imminent, and it's very likely it's going to continue. For Tesla, we're actually building some strength, holding above our 200 EMA. As long as we're above that, I do see some more upside potential. If we lose 180, look for a dip. If we break past 183, look for a push. My gut tells me it's going to try to see 185 tomorrow, as long as there's no bad news. And then if that breaks, we could go a little higher, but then I think Tesla will start to shuffle a bit. But I do see a push for 185 plus coming, at least just temporarily. For the triple Q, it's the same thing as SPY, essentially. I think that the triple Q is going to either first off, it's looking kind of weak, but we'll see if we get a little pop back up to 482.5. If we break this, look for 484 and see if we reject. Or if we lose 479, we'll be looking for a dip all the way down towards this imbalance around the mid 470s. So we could be looking to see which way we break. If we close below 480, we would turn more bearish. I think we're going to pop first, so look for a little rebound, then possibly rejection afterwards. That's going to be very important for how we end up moving. For Apple's on a bit of a downtrend right here. You guys can see it's been falling and falling. I think that there's a risk of this continuing to dip. And I think that this imbalance down here will likely get filled all the way down towards 206. So I wouldn't be surprised if Apple kind of rebounds a bit, retests 209, then continues to dip. And then look for 206.63. I think we're going to be testing that. So a little pop and drop. If we lose that, there's going to be a bigger rug pull all the way down to the lower 200s. If we hold 206, then we could try to bounce. The trend is looking kind of bearish, so I think a pop and drop is more probable. I do favor the downside a little bit more. With that being said, guys, that's pretty much it for the video. I'll just go over a few more. Coinbase is trying to rebound, look for a retest of 228. We'll see if this rejects or not. I think it's going to pop a little bit, go a little higher towards 228 to 230, and we'll see if you reject or not from there. For Amazon, we have a nice little cup-like structure. We could go a little higher, but the only issue is we're forming kind of like a cup and handle. There's not really much going on with this. It has a very, very nice looking cup, but we have to wait and see if the handle's still waiting to form. So it could actually dip a bit before it tries to bounce. But the overall trend is more bullish with this cup. For Meta, we're looking a little bit weak. We have to try to break past 496 and then 500 to turn bullish. If we end up rejecting here, look for 492 as support. If that fails us, we'll be dipping all the way down towards 490. So my gut tells me we may pop a bit towards the 200 EMA, towards 496, then reject and start dipping. So I think there's a good chance we may pop and drop. For a few more, we also have GameStop. GameStop is kind of flat right here around the 22 area. We'll have to see if we could try to bounce off that or not. I think we're going to be dipping a little bit, so we'll see how things go. And then for AMC, we're also kind of dipping a little bit right here. We have this gap to fill down to about 4.3. So I think there's a good chance we're going to dip lower. So we'll see how that goes as well. But anyways, that is pretty much it, at least for the video, guys. So for NIO, despite the fact that the market could see a little temporary bounce, we could be followed by a much bigger dump later. And as a result of that, I still think that NIO is going to follow this trend with this little downtrend that we are on. For now, things could shift depending on deliveries, which are going to be coming out in just about a week and a half from now. So we'll see what happens with that. Otherwise, we're just going to be very patient and give this the time it needs. With that being said, guys, I appreciate every single one of you. Please have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your holiday. By holiday, I just mean the weekend. But I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow. So take care, guys. I'll see you guys soon, and peace out.